There's a little bit of a stigma around hiring abroad, outsourcing MSP staff to different countries. And well, since this is our business, we can talk about this, right?
Yeah. I mean, we see it come up every now and then about certain concerns that clients have, especially when it comes to their first hire, about the stigma around and the challenges around outsourcing abroad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, you're gonna hire like somebody in another country. Oh my God. Especially if you like, have only ever hired in your country and you're used to your people. Like, what's the main concern? What's the first concern that's going to come up? Like,
it's going to be the cultural fit. It's going to be the cultural challenges that you might face. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be hiring somebody from a different country completely.
Yeah.
They're going to have a different upbringing. They're going to have different cultural standards, maybe even different language that they grew up in. First language can be completely different to English. And yeah, at the end of the day, there is some concerns around that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this is why we have largely gone to South Africa for a lot of our hires. Like, so the most people on our team are from South Africa. And what are people in South Africa like?
I mean, I'm very biased to South Africans since I am South African. But overall, I mean...
I was going to reveal that later. I was going to reveal that after you talked about, how awesome they are. But yeah, okay. Yeah, let's be transparent. Alex is from South Africa.
Born and bred South Africa. I mean, at the end of the day, South Africans have a very high education system. So education level in general, where we home language is English. We start...
Okay, your home language is English, but there's like there's dozens of... There's like
Afrikaans,
there's
a lot of
different languages.
I mean,
around
South Africa has
may lead to a variety
12
of different
official
sort of
languages.
accents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But generally, people are aware of the English language and dealing with it on a daily basis in life in South Africa, and that they are largely in a cultural environment which is similar to what people encounter in America.
Exactly.
Which is driving cars everywhere and going to shopping malls and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Except for maybe in Cape Town, which is more of a European pace of life where you live, right?
Yes. No, 100%.
But yeah, it's very similar. And so you do have to actually, outsourcing abroad bad is a very low resolution way of looking at the whole thing. Like, abroad is bad. No. I think that there are places like, South Africa, where people have a lot of cultural compatibility with the US and the UK. There are a lot of expats. That's how I started this business, Supportive Venture. It was me and a bunch of expats in Serbia who were living in Serbia, Americans, Canadians, an Irish guy, all this sort of stuff. We, for whatever reason, wanted to live in the city of Belgrade, and we started doing this business as expats. So it's not necessarily that abroad is the bad thing, it's just the types of characters you will hire abroad and screening them. And what we do at Supportive Venture is we send over videos. And what can they see on the videos?
Look, on the videos, you can get the overall presentability of the candidate. And you can also gauge their personality and the type of culture that they have, their English ability, like how well can they speak? How well are they going to be able to troubleshoot an issue with one of your end users?
Yeah. So culture is not all about geographical location.
Exactly.
It's about the person, their education level, what type of family background they come from, their social class, all of this sort of stuff. And you'll find that a lot of the best people from everywhere, there's great people from countries everywhere which are very eloquent in the English language who you can hire, who have grown up on American TV, movies and stuff like that, will understand what your clients expect. And there should be no stigma around that, as long as your clients are willing to tolerate a little bit of a foreign accent. And we actually prefer to allow our staff abroad to actually freely reveal that they are in a place like South Africa, or they are an Irish person in Colombia, or whatever it is. You know, it's better to be upfront about that. So as long as your client base is not completely xenophobic, if they judge the service based on the result and the amount that they enjoy talking to the people on your help desk, then I think that stigma point should be discounted largely.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, going on to number 2 would be work quality. I think there's a big stigma towards thinking that somebody working remotely can't do as good of a job as somebody in-house. And with that, I mean, Eric, you can elaborate more on this. We've seen great success with our remote technicians, often outperforming the guys in-house. As long as you have, firstly, well-defined processes, have achievable goals that they can clearly have put in a roadmap to achieve. And again, it comes down to the company itself rather than the contractor that you're getting in.
Yeah.
So again, going on to what we do, so we present candidates that have proven abilities through our VM tests. So we have a training and testing program in place that will test the candidates. We send through all the tests that they present, that they've completed on our end, on our VM tests. And with that, you can actually see their performance and see if this is the candidate that is best matched for the job that you need to be done.
Yeah, because a lot of hires abroad are done like through resumes or CVs that are sent over. They got a degree in computer science or something, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't actually show you if they know how to do the job.
Exactly.
But, in our training and testing program, we put them on a sort of like real world VM test where they can show what they can do, solve the problem, what their notes look like, how they would communicate to a client about that specific issue and how it's being solved and stuff like that. So you actually can see what is the job and how are they doing it. Like, will this fit in my environment? And yeah, if you have the right structure to onboard people remotely and aren't just, winging it with the training program, which is one of our MSP worst practices, by the way, so you can search that video. And it's just going to be so much easier to just not only like improve your results outsourcing abroad with finding full-time dedicated staff through a company like ours, Supported Venture, but also your internal staff. The quality of your internal hires will go up a lot higher once you have a structure to onboard people. So yeah.
No, spot on.
So yeah, it's not about abroad or anything. It's about the structure and selecting people who really know how to work to the standard that you demand. And you have to be really specific about this, know what you're looking for, rather than going on vibe or going on credentials or anything like that. So
I mean, when it comes to the CV, keywords and buzzwords are in everybody's CVs. And at the end of the day,
you can just paste them in.
Yeah. You can go online and just get a template on.
Just because someone's good at like finding out what buzzwords are and pasting them in a thing, that's maybe if you're doing SEO, that would be like a great skill to have. But if you're fixing computer problems, it doesn't really show you if they're going to be able to fix computer problems. You need to test them on that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going on to number 3, it's security concerns.
Can we edit some scary music in here?
Yeah.
All right. That's for the post-production team if they catch it. But security concerns. I mean, a lot of MSPs really fear what can happen when you hire somebody abroad and give them access to your data. And I'd say this is not something that we've had issues with. We've had over 300 contractors, I'd reckon. Over the 8 years of running this business, and it's this sort of data security issue is not an issue that we've had come to light. And we don't think it's any more of a problem than it would be locally and stuff like that. I mean, it's probably more likely that if you're worried about losing clients because of data security, people stealing your clients, it's a lot more likely that hiring local techs will lead to that happening. When someone joins a rival MSP in the same neighborhood. But with that aside, it's again systems and accountability that does this, rather than letting people work remotely off of a laptop in front of them, which you can do. Some of our clients buy all their contractors computers that they have for remoting in, and they put monitoring software on that, so on and so forth, so they can wipe it, monitor it, whatever, lock it out on a moment's notice. That's one thing that people do, but also a lot of our clients use VMs that people log into that they put their monitoring on the VM level. But it should really be on the system level.
Yes.
And what's your security policy? These security concerns a lot of the time. When I used to do the sales calls, I would turn this back on the MSP that I'm talking about staffing, and they would ask about security of hiring people abroad, and I say, okay, so can you show me your written security policy of your MSP and what your local staff do, and we'll try to harmonize with that. then they say that, oh, they don't have a written security policy. I was like, okay, but you at least have them sign an NDA when they sign on. Oh yeah, okay. So we have that too.
Yeah.
But security policy and security practices are your best defense against this. Like if they log onto a server, is that log somewhere? Is someone checking those logs on a weekly basis to see what the techs have been logging into, which passwords they've been accessing on IT Glue or whatever your documentation system is, all that sort of stuff. On a general hygiene level of security, you need to do a lot, MSPs in general need to do a lot more for themselves, for their internal staff, whoever they hire remotely. It's a weak point of MSPs in general. So I understand like hiring someone abroad, it makes you really worried about it, and how you can't really have access to them in your local jurisdiction to enforce the NDA laws and stuff like that, like you would locally. And yeah, that's all true, but none of the MSPs that I've ever dealt with actually had any stories of suing their staff for stuff like this.
Yeah.
And it could be because they didn't know if any data breaches happened, or none happened because people tend to like really take this stuff seriously. If you give them a security ethos and procedures to follow, they take that seriously because you're their livelihood, and basically like you pay them a salary every month, so you can expect that level of loyalty. And it would be a pretty outrageous sort of elaborate thing to get a job with an MSP just so you can steal their data, because to be that 1 in 1,000 support venture applicant takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
To actually be a person who succeeds in this industry, you actually have to be able to do the job, which is not easy to fake.
Exactly.
And yeah, I would say, MSPs generally just need to worry a lot about security from a systemic level. Systemically making sure that access is monitored, that the people, and of course we do criminal background checks for all the people that we're hiring in their local jurisdiction with fingerprints a lot of the time, and a letter from the police that they're not criminals and all that sort of stuff, and check their references and all that sort of stuff. That like it hasn't been a problem in our business in the years we've done it. I dread the day that it could be one day for whatever reason, but it hasn't been a problem. And we encourage all our clients to think proactively about how they can set in systems in place to make this not be a problem locally or hiring abroad.
Exactly.
And there's insurance you can get against a lot of this stuff as well.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next one.
So, I mean, often there's a misconception or a stigma towards, it's not really a misconception, but clients think that outsourcing is going to a shared help desk. It's going to go to some 4-story building somewhere with a bunch of technicians all gathered around
in another country,
in another country, and working for multiple MSPs at the same time.
Yeah.
And yes, that does happen. That does occur.
Yeah.
But not with us, not through Support Venture.
Yeah.
We have dedicated contractors working for your company only. With that shared help desk environment, those technicians don't care about your end users. They might appear to care, but they're dealing with multiple different clients. They're not building up that rapport with your end users.
So the stereotype is like that they're going to get through to somebody who knows nothing about the clients, doesn't even know much about the MSP that they're working for, and it's just essentially a call center worker who's briefed on a couple Office 365 problems to troubleshoot, and can you please restart it and stuff like that. No, that's not what we're doing over here at Support Venture with our outsourced staff abroad. We're hiring dedicated people for your MSP, and basically what we do is we make sure that you've got a good training program, make sure that you've got the framework in place to make them feel part of your team remotely, get to know the people, and really be a part of your business like someone you would hire locally. You know, if you wouldn't hire them, if they walked into your office in the city where you're based, why should you hire them through a company like us?
Exactly.
Why should you give them any less inclusion as part of your team on an operational level just because they're in another country? I mean, it's really important to look at it like that and invest time in mentoring them and ensuring that they reach the standards of how you want your clients to be treated, and ensure that they have insight into your culture, weekly meetings where they get to talk to the rest of your team and show up on video camera video calls and stuff like that to show their personality, get
Yeah.
things going on a social level with your team, and it's not going to be like a shared help desk at all.
No, no.
We used to have a shared help desk, but we stopped
Yeah.
doing that. Why? Because it was difficult. We had like 4 MSPs going in a 24/7 thing. Clients would call. They wouldn't know anything about the clients that they're helping. The issues were weird because it was after-hours service, and the documentation from the client company that was sending us those calls was often incomplete. And then we would just have to spend a lot of time on Monday morning or any weekday morning discussing why the after-hours technician didn't do this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
We stopped doing that because it didn't work. So shared help desks largely don't work in the MSP space because the stacks that you have deployed to clients are largely too complicated for an after-hours tech to troubleshoot without repeated exposure and good documentation. So we don't do that anymore. And dedicated staffing is where it's at, and you can talk to us about that. Get presented great people who might be great in your organization.
100%. Our goal here is to provide you with a remote worker that gets included like any other staff member that's working in-house. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we want our technicians to be happy, and we want you guys to be happy. And having that dedicated member really, that's included, that fits into your office culture, that fits in just like any other in-house worker, creates that happy environment that we look for.
Yeah. And as I mentioned before, like the next point is like remote onboarding. You know, can that be as effective as having someone in your office, in-person training, stuff like that? It can.
Yes.
It really can. But you need structure.
Yeah.
I mean, we help clients consult. We consult with clients on like a structured training plan for our MSP hires. You know, like if a client doesn't have a training plan and is just like sit next to Bob in the office, then like Bob in the office, maybe we could actually put that into a training plan.
Yes, no, exactly. And also like, if you have a well-structured training plan, let's say a 30, 60, 90-day training plan with achievable goals on there that the technicians can work off, that they can really focus on, have practice tickets in place, and have a dedicated personnel that when the technician does get stuck, that they can kind of refer back to, ask for assistance, especially in the case where you can have, okay, cool, yeah, set aside these 4 practice tickets. Now, don't come to me every 5 minutes when you get stuck. See how far you can get. Try all the tickets.
And then escalate in a structured way.
Yes, escalate it in any way that you would normally escalate those tickets.
You should still have that person that they can shadow and stuff like that, but you know, train that person to let them off the leash a little bit and let them, you know, struggle a bit, and that's where you really see what a tech is made of. And make an escalation process that has them, you know, escalate in a really good way with, you know, good questions like, what have you tried? Why can't you solve this problem?
Exactly.
You know, all this sort of stuff. What do I need to know taking this ticket? And just, you know, like remote, you don't want the team to be too dependent on each other, but, you know, like an office environment kind of breeds that into techs.
Yes.
And if your team is used to that, you might not have the procedures, formalized procedures that will help your company grow. Because if you want to grow beyond 5 techs, grow to 10, 15, 20 techs, you're going to need this stuff anyways.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your first remote hire, make sure you have a ticket assignment policy. Make sure you have a ticket note writing guide. Make sure you have a time tracking guide on how they're supposed to track their time in ConnectWise or whatever PSA you use. Make sure you have an escalation policy. All of that sort of stuff. It's all super important to just like put that in writing and hold them accountable to using it, and make that the sort of goal of your training program, rather than just sending your remote techs through ConnectWise University, which is a snooze fest, which isn't really useful, which teaches people things in a way that tech brains don't actually like very much, and is probably designed by people who themselves are not techs. So, I mean, it's all going to be possible remotely. There is stigma hiring abroad. There's lots of stories of failures we get from clients, and then they come to us with all this wisdom and knowledge, and they work with us and our techs that we, you know, select out of the thousands of applicants, and they're like, oh yeah, this is different. This does work. This is compatible with my company culture, and these people are helping me improve my company culture to even make this work better.
Exactly. And look, we've got a ton of procedures in place that we want to break that stigma of hiring or of outsourcing remotely. We want to create an environment where we find in the techs, we source in the techs that are best that will be the best cultural fit for your company.
Yeah.
And we put them through our training and testing program. So by the time they get presented to you, you know that their CV is null and void now. Here's the real world experience. Here's what they can actually do.
And a consistent profile that you can compare applicants without
Exactly.
seeing all the buzzwords and stuff like that. The proof is in the pudding. You watch them on video and you see who gives you that sort of intuitive, I like this person, I would like to, eat a meal with these people, this person. Let's interview them and make sure that we take the right care in onboarding them onto our MSP in a structured way.
Exactly. But again, that only works if you have the correct processes in place.
And we can help with that.
And we can assist with that as well.
So for more info, contact us at supportadventure.com and you can become a client there, which starts the process. We'll figure out if you're ready for a remote tech, and then if we decide that you are, we'll start sending you videos where you can watch people like Alex who would really be grateful for an opportunity to work at an MSP like yours.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Have a great day.